and welcome to the show. It is I, Harley Wooten, and today we're going to be talking about the year 1995, which is an important year. We're originally known as Deathkids back in 1995. The format of the show is we're going to just go through the history of 1995. Today we're talking about the episode of how Born in Hell came to be. We're not going to get too much into 1994 because I think that could be an episode unto itself. But real quick, I'm going to run through how this all came to be in 1994. So we started out recording videos of ourselves playing to like Pantera and Metallica videos. Remember, like we did Fucking Hostile and Get the Fuck Out by Skid Row. And then in the summer of 94, we did the music video contest for MTV with the Doomsday video. And we enlisted the help of Greg Cook along the way. Any thoughts on the Doomsday music video or Greg Cook?
Not really.
I totally forgot about it. Where is it?
What, the MTV video contest? I don't know. That would be really good to find. I remember we were doing like skits with the Halloween masks, like cutting off arms. And I think at the end, Greg was pretending his arms and legs were cut off. And he was like kneeling and with shoes on his knees to pretend
That's
he was...
probably with the 8mm tapes that I've been frantically looking for.
And Greg Cook, remember he shaved shaved an upside down cross on his head or something?
Mm-hmm.
I shaved an upside down cross in the back of Greg's head the night of the Testament concert.
All right. So that is the year 1994. Let's get into the subject at hand. I remember some of my earliest memories were listening to King Diamond in the car with you, Dad. And probably some of my favorite music. I think it was the Abigail album, a cassette.
Right.
And then in early 1995, on January 21st, we went to our first concert at the Roxy Music Hall, Merciful Fate. Any memories of that?
They had live pyrotechnics. I'm surprised the place didn't burn down like the White Lion up in Providence where the whole club burned down and 100 people died.
Yeah.
You remember the Merciful Fate show?
Not very clearly. I think that's the one where that metal DJ guy I don't know if it was Fingers. But someone said, hey, there's some little headbangers in the audience. Let's let them up to the front.
Yeah, it was Fingers from BAB. You remember that? Fingers?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just remember it being an amazing show. There was so much theatrics. I mean, it was my first show, so I didn't really know what to expect, but the fact that he came out in full gimmick, in full makeup and costume, and the upside down cross mic stand that was like made of bones. Around this time was when Pyrexia released their Hatred, Anger, and Disgust demo. I remember we got this probably at the Roxy. Do you remember the Pyrexia demo?
Yep.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on the Pyrexia demo?
It was really good and underrated, and we played with them a lot at the Roxy.
I could have sworn that Pyrexia had 2 bass players, but I might be mistaken.
Wow, I don't remember that, but... All right, soon after that, we went to Split Decision. You remember Split Decision Studios? When we recorded our first demo?
Yeah, definitely. It was sort of like being in a filthy closet.
When we recorded, I hid in the room so I could say go at the beginning of Forgotten.
Oh, yeah. and it was like 1, 2, 3, go.
Yeah, but they didn't
But-
like that I was just doing it like that. So they said, if you're gonna do it, then let's just do it. And so I actually, just did it normally into the mic.
Yeah, I remember the first time you did it, you were like hiding, and you did it like off time, like it was tss, 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 go, did. And then they were like, "Oh, just do it on the 4. 1, 2, 3, go."
Oh, wow, I don't remember that.
Yeah, it's your first guest vocal appearance.
Yeah.
I liked Split Decision though. I have good memories of it. I remember going there to rehearse too.
Yeah, it was a cool place. Didn't have the best sound quality, but it
Yeah,
was fun
good
though.
memories of Split Decision. And I remember one day we were at Split Decision and we were standing outside and someone was talking to us about our style. And he said, "Oh, I have something really cool. I work at the CD printing shop and I have this." And he brought us the copy of Once Upon the Cross by Deicide. Like it was like before it came out, I think months before it came out.
Split Decision wasn't the place where Evan hooked up with you guys, was it?
From Biohazard?
Yeah.
I think that was another place called...
Yeah, that was another place. That was like another place that was right around the block. I can almost remember the name, but
Wasn't it called like Tombstone or something?
yeah, I think
Something
so.
like Grave?
Yeah,
I'm going to try to find that.
but that was more
a...
of a rehearsal studio.
Yeah.
And Split Decision was like both recording and rehearsal.
Right. Yeah, I remember that place where Evan from Biohazard would go was in like a really industrial area. And Split Decision was too. But I remember that place was like deeper into the more industrial kind of environment. It was right around, this was 1995 was our last year at Hewlett School. I think in 96 we went back to the Lindenhurst School.
There were crazier people at the private Hewlett School than there were in the public schools.
Yeah, it felt like the same kind of thing. It's like either way.
I was driving you guys in the Rolls Royce, listening to Dead and Bloated and the original Pantera and Deicide.
the glam metal Pantera.
And I felt like Hewlett got more bizarre as we got near the end. Like when we first went there, it felt more put together, like things made sense. And by the end, teachers were just quitting and classes were just merging. And I think you were even teaching the music class for a second. You and
I
Mom.
did the Easter concert or some concert.
Yeah, I remember it was weird. Like, I always wondered what it would be like to have a parent as a teacher, and then my mom and dad were doing the chorus teaching.
Yeah, Mom was teaching there too. We don't have degrees in teaching.
Yeah, how did that happen? Did they just reach out to you, or
The original music teacher, kind of that little cute hot blonde, remember her name?
was that Miss Borum?
Yeah. She quit. And then they hired that Turkish guy who said he used to
Right.
beat his wife on the soles of her feet. So they fired him. And then they hired me to do the concert thing. They said it was the best the band ever sounded.
Yeah, and we brought in like guitars and drums, like orchestral rock concert, right? Called, was it Flight of the Aardvark?
Yeah, I think I have tapes of this, videos of you. I think it was you were doing AC/DC.
Yeah.
No, Flight of the Aardvark. I think I remember there being some kind of recording, but I don't think it was related to the Hewlett School thing.
And then they hired me to do Pomp and Circumstance for the graduation, pre-recorded. And the people were supposed to play along with it, and that did not work out well.
Well, they just didn't play good, right?
Well, they couldn't keep in time with the pre-recorded music.
That is kind of hard unless you have like a nice click track there.
Yeah. Hewlett School was wild. I just have memories of walking between buildings for every class and just the smell of this like damp hotel almost feeling. Like you'd look in one classroom and look next door and there would be like a bedroom.
Yeah, it was a weird school. It was cool to walking like outside to get to different classes.
And everybody hated the Korean headmaster, the woman, because she was driving a Mercedes 500 XL. They thought she wasn't entitled to it.
Wow, Hewlett School. I believe Hewlett School was declared a monument, like it was a historical site until 2018, and then it was torn down, and now I think it's they built new residential housing, like high-priced residential housing there. Unfortunately, I couldn't find any pictures of Hewlett School, so it's a pretty undocumented facility. We might have some actually.
We have some. They're around.
Yeah, it was a wild school. I remember they had their like end of the year water fights. Like you'd shoot each other with water guns and have races.
Who was the teacher that told Kenny that because he was wearing a hat, he looked like a lout? You remember who that guy was?
Yeah, I just remember him as Tella, as he looks like Tella from Final Fantasy 2.
Was it Dr. Ford?
Yes.
There was this one time we got the voice recorders because we were going to record what the teacher said, and we would like play with it and do like, "Hello, I'm Dr. Ford," and like slow it down and play it, and I would just crack up at that. I just remember sitting in the back of one of the cars.
A gold, I can't believe, I should never have gotten rid of that. A gold 78 Diamond Jubilee edition of Lincoln, a Mark V.
I so many great memories sitting in those cars, listening to amazing music, just laughing and stuff like that. While we're talking about Hewlett, wasn't there a time when the teacher, was it him who pushed your head down and you jumped?
No, it was the substitute after he left. It was this a female teacher, and the whole class had to put their head down because they were misbehaving, and I didn't, so she pushed my head onto the table.
You stole that kid's hat. Remember that?
No.
You got in big trouble for that.
And we were getting, well, you were getting like, what were they called? Demerits, like every day. They would be like, no purple hair.
Yeah.
No earrings. No, just everything. There was the one time when I think one of the twins tried to kill me by pushing me in like a little car down the street. Travis. Yeah.
There was Ian and his brother, what was it, Eric or something? And we went there and we listened to Soundgarden. We slept over there. We didn't sleep over places very much. I remember we slept over those kids' houses and like I just remember thinking, damn, I want to go home.
Right. Yeah. No, I kind of liked that kid. He was cool. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember we stayed there and we also listened to like Onyx or something. And I was like, oh, cool. I like this from Beavis and Butthead. I think you liked it at the time even more. I was like, oh, cool.
Yeah.
And I think we played I think it was Toxic Monster Football on Sega Genesis. And I was like, wow, this is a cool game.
I think that was the time that we also played, or that might have been Errol and Travis, the twins, but we played that RPG on Super Nintendo.
Illusion of Gaia?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think like you've said before, the best part was driving to school and listening to music. I would have to agree. It's great times. Yeah, it was a kind of far drive, but I didn't mind because that was the best part, was just listening to the bands that we were getting into at the time. I remember listening to Foul Taste of Freedom by Propane a lot.
Yeah.
I have a memory of the Every Good Boy Does Fine playing while we're on the way to Hewlett. All right. We're at the end of segment number 1. Thank you for sticking through. I'm going to take questions from chat now based on what we were just talking about. A lot of comments, but not many questions. I think the only real question here is, can you guys cover a Deathkids song at the next live show? Yeah, sure. I'll cover a Deathkid song right now. David Hustle said, I liked watching Gromulus take a boner out of his pants. Legendary moment. Hey Handsome Will said, I've always wanted to see King Diamond. What a way to start for me. Like my first live show, and that's it. Like seeing King Diamond was mind blowing. I think we were supposed to meet King Diamond and he was sick or something.
I thought that was Deicide. You're at the Roxy,
oh yeah,
right?
that did happen with Deicide. It could have been both, but I definitely remember with Deicide. Yeah, I remember being upset that we didn't get to meet Deicide that night.
I want to thank Memba. Did you ever get the twins back? Oh, so Owl Tears is asking if I ever got revenge on the twins for trying to kill me. No, I just remember like crying and calling to have someone come pick me up. That was pretty much it. Went home and didn't really like them after that.
Yeah, it was a lot more fun at those other kids' house than those twins.
Yeah, Mom really hated him.
Me too. Owl Tears asked, did you ever dye your hair the same color as each other or just Merchant? No, I don't think I dyed my hair until like mid 2000s. Merchant was way more into that. Any memories of dyeing your hair?
I used to just do it a lot, and I had a lot of ear piercings and a lot of different hair colors. But yeah.
I remember Billy Wilcox, who was a part of the Deathkids artwork and stuff, was really into dyeing hair and to like help you, if I remember right.
Yeah.
But yeah, Billy Wilcox was really cool.
Yeah, we would dye our hair together a lot.
And I think Bernie Gill was also in the pictures with us a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, also.
Yeah, I think he was like the first friend that I had that overdosed.
Yeah,
right?
that was an early one. That happened a long time ago.
Yeah, but they were both so funny in the pictures and were up for anything. At the beginning of 1995, I guess we were mostly honing our craft. And I guess we were really inspired by the Merciful Fate show. And we started to really develop the idea of Deathkids. I think the name just came up because one day someone said, what's it going to be called? And I just said Deathkids. It just randomly came to me. I don't think there was really much behind it. Actually, yeah, Doomsday we made for that 94 MTV.
Yeah, for Doomsday, you weren't even doing the growl voice when we did the original one.
Yeah, that's true. So by summer, June 24th, 1995, Deathkids played with Pyrexia, as we've talked about, a band called Hostile Intent, a band called Nevermore, and a band called Death. Maybe you've heard of them, touring for Symbolic. An amazing death metal band. Any memories of the show?
No.
Yeah, I remember walking into the Roxy and they were doing a sound check, and he was doing the kick, bop, 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 and I was like marching, like miming being a marching band, and he was watching me and he would like trick it up on me and look at me and laugh. And after that, I think I walked up to him and was like, wow, love your drumming. And he was just a really cool, approachable guy. Also, at the end of the show, I think Death was finishing their set, and the guy from Nevermore came over to me and was like, man, you guys are amazing. I want to give you a shirt so you can remember us. And I have it right here, still the same shirt, Garden of Grey. I have the shirt right here. And I think this is the first time we played with Pyrexia as well. But as you're going to hear in a second, it wasn't the last. Soon after, on July 1st, 1995, Deathkids, Internal Bleeding, Pyrexia, and Suffocation. Any memories of this song?
Yeah, I remember that.
Nothing in particular, no.
I remember thinking like, dang, this is going to be a night of the hardcore death metal bands. Like these are like heavier than Death and Merciful Fate. So it's like,
Yeah, who was the guitar player from Internal Bleeding?
Chris Perialis.
Came up to me and said, "You don't really believe in that devil shit, do you?" I said, "No, yeah, I guess."
Yeah, I remember like backstage at the Roxy, he'd be reading books all the time.
That
guy, right?
Yeah, he said that you have to read books to be successful in music. I still follow that guy on Facebook, and Internal Bleeding is still playing a lot.
Yeah, I've seen some recent live videos of them. Sounded sick. Yeah, I remember Suffocation being cool too. Yeah, after that, I guess you celebrated a birthday. And on July 29th, this was a memorable one. It was Deathkids with Pyrexia again. And then Grip Inc. with Dave Lombardo from Slayer. It was like his new band. And the headliner was Morbid Angel, one of my favorite death metal bands, and the band that probably got me into death metal from seeing them on Night of the Demons too. And at the time, Morbid Angel was touring for Domination. An awesome album. Any memories of this?
It was cool meeting Dave Lombardo because he was in Slayer.
Yeah, I remember doing some sort of pre-show thing at a record shop, and Morbid Angel was there and said, "Don't tell me we're going to be playing with a bunch of kids." So that kind of pissed me off.
The drummer of which band?
Of Morbid Angel.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I remember it was at Wildside, right?
Right.
That could be Pete Sandoval.
Who else was on that show?
Grip Incorporated.
Yeah, Dave Lombardo was a great guy. He came out, he gave us an autographed drumstick, and we had a bunch of drunks with us. I think that drumstick is still around somewhere.
Yeah, he was nice.
And weren't there like some girls coming up to him like, Dave, do you remember me?
Yeah.
And he was just very dismissive, like, no. All right, after that, August 18th. This is a big one. It was Deathkids, Forbidden, Uncle Jack, and Testament. So this was the night of the infamous fight. Any thoughts before I go deeper on that?
One night I went there was a new stage manager, and Harley was having some kind of problem tuning his guitar or getting the sound right.
Yeah, it took a long time setting up.
The stage manager said, "I'm going to cut your show short." And he did. So I started choking him, and we were rocking back and forth by Testament's equipment, and the Testament's road crew pushed us down the flight of stairs of the stage. And then the Testament road crew knocked me down, and they were kicking and punching me. And I learned this from my monkey. You grab the guy by the nuts and gouge his eyes. And then the bouncer came up to me. I was supposed to be his friend, and he's holding me. And the stage manager comes up and punches me in the side of the head. And I didn't know it at the time, but I was sitting in a diner with my mother and brother, and they said, "There's blood coming out of your ear." So I had a broken eardrum and was partially deaf, and I'm still partially deaf. I have bad tinnitus to this day.
Yeah, I remember I was having a ton of trouble setting up my my sound, like my distortion box and stuff. And I was panicking up there, just like, oh shit, come on, go. Just wire, get it working. I don't remember like the fight breaking out, but I remember something happened where Greg's hands got slammed in this bass case while he was putting it away because there was so much commotion going on. And I heard that, and I looked over, and I went down there. I went down the stairs, and there was this guy who had like a long ponytail, and I think it was the guy, the stage manager, or someone who like worked with him. And for some reason in my mind, I was targeting this guy. Like I knew he had something to do with it. So I like jumped on his back and pulled his ponytail, like get off.
Yeah.
Something happened, like someone pulled me off or he pushed me off, and like Vinny, our neighbor, was there. And he did something. I don't remember.
He punched him in the stomach.
He punched him in the stomach?
And it knocked the wind out of him.
Wow. So yeah, it was a wild scuffle. It wasn't Testament. That's interesting. It was the guy from the Roxy, you're saying, who like started it all?
Well, the stage manager, who was new, he didn't know who I was.
Oh wow.
And the bass player at the time, Greg, went out and told Kenny, "Your father is in a fight." And Kenny said, "Well, he fights with everybody."
Yeah.
I have a memory of liking Uncle Jack at that time as well. I think I got their demo and I was like, damn, that's a pretty good demo.
Yeah,
Like,
they were good.
I think they did like a cover of like a blues song or something, which wasn't my thing at the time, but I actually got into it. My only other memory of this show is while they were playing, there was this guy next to me who was, going nuts during the show, but he was like an old school fan. And during one of the breaks, I called out, "Play Dog Faced Gods," which was off their new album. So I don't think the other fans were really like too warm to the new stuff yet. And they did. They played Dog Faced Gods, and the guy was like, "Oh, it's a good call, man. That's a good song." But yeah, I love that album, Low. Any other thoughts on Testament before we move on?
No.
You brought up Bobo, the monkey. And yeah, I guess we'll talk about him now. As you can see on the screen here, if you're watching live, Bobo was on the cover of the first album. We could probably do a whole episode on Bobo. But any memories of this time, like getting him?
Well, we went to a local pet store that sold exotic pets, and I think we paid $5,000. No, and for Mom, it was like adopting a kid. We were all so excited about it, and I used to drive around with him hanging from the rearview mirror, and that's where the cover came from. I hung an upside down cross, and he would be hanging from it.
All right, and we put like chocolate on it to make him lick it or something.
Yeah.
I think you actually like cut out that picture by hand with scissors and put it on the skulls, right? And that's how it was cropped.
That was from some magazine we used to get from going to the property upstate. One of these crazy UFOs and
Weekly World
Satan
News.
is living here. And
Bobo was real funny at that time. He was like in a basket, and like anything was exciting. Like, oh my God, Bobo got out of the basket. It was, any little progress he made was so exciting and funny. So yeah, when I was doing research for this, I was really struggling trying to figure out when Born in Hell was actually recorded. And then I found this demo tape on eBay. I remember for some reason we labeled when it was recorded, and it says recorded 9/95. So yeah, in September 1995, we decided to record the songs in a proper studio. I was a big fan of Propane, like in kindergarten, and always one of our favorite bands. Amazing sound quality. So yeah, do you remember what made you decide you wanted to record with Alex at Pyramid?
Because of Fat Pat, who is unfortunately now deceased. He was actually a big help with the band and turned us on to jobs, and we were either going to use him or Scott Burns down in Tampa. But Ithaca was a lot closer, and Testament, Anthrax, and even Genuine with the Pony recorded there, got gold records. So, and Alex was a real good guy, fun to work with. And we also, the co-producer of that, what the guy from Raven, Life's a Bitch.
Was his name Rob Hunter?
Yeah.
I love that album. I still like the sound of that first Propane album and the second one. So yeah, we decided to record this album at Pyramid Sound Studios in Ithaca, New York in September 1995. I remember we drove up there and we stayed in this house that was maybe 2 buildings away from the studio.
Yeah, well, Alex provided the house.
Yeah, which was awesome. I loved that house. Such great memories of that place. It was like 3 floors and a ton of rooms.
And Mom and Bobo were there as usual.
That's awesome. And yeah, Ithaca, the town was fun. I remember. It was
A college town.
yeah. And yeah, we would record and all day and go back to the house. I think we went like go-karting.
Oh yeah, I just watched videos of that.
We had a great mind for the sound and how we recorded. Even, when you listen to the Born in Hell album, there's so many little things. Even on that first track we listened to on Accidental, there's like reverse cymbals.
Yeah, and that was all analog, nothing digital.
Yeah, there were like walls of machines with knobs and buttons and lights. It was really cool to see. Really fun, amazing experience. We were sitting there and Alex said, "So tell me about this project. What is this going to sound like?" And I think we put on Tomb of the Mutilated by Cannibal Corpse. He was like, "Wow, this is crazy." And then he started working on the guitar tone, which, was an amp, maybe a couple of amps in a soundproof room with a ton of mics. And yeah, in the actual recording room itself was just like a big open room with just everything. Tons of guitars and drums. It was honestly amazing. And I remember when I was in school, one of the questions on the first day of the year was like, what was your favorite vacation experience? And I wrote recording at Pyramid Sound Studios, because that really was like such an amazing experience, like vacation. When we did this part, the intro to Doomsday, Alex put this wacky symphonic effect that you can hear right now on the guitar. And I was just blown away. Like, wow, you can do that with effects? That's amazing. I thought that was so cool and so pro.
Yeah, I really like that part. It was a cool sound.
Any favorite songs from the album? Both of you.
No, not really. I like them all about the same.
I always liked Rat Boys and Suicide. I always felt like that was a heavy one for that album. I used to think like I wanted more songs in that style. I think that's kind of more where we went on the second one.
Yeah, that's true. That one was yeah, I like to play that one live. I like the drum parts on there.
Yeah, it was like a triplet thing. And had a lot of like guitar stuff, like and I remember there's a song called Tone of Death. It's the last song. And I think that's one that like Greg Cook kind of like wrote or like helped write. And there's kind of like a riff that's like da-dun-dun-bing, da-dun-dun-bing. And I remember Greg would always love doing that live. I have memories of seeing Greg do that at the Roxy for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
Bing, da-ding-ding, bing. Always stood out.
You overdubbed the bass also.
Yeah. I think I recorded all like the instruments on Born in Hell. And I remember when I was recording the bass for Doomsday, we had a 5-string bass, and I was like, wow, you can go really low on this. And I hit the bong bong, and it was like low B. Alex Perialis was like, oh, that's like the wrong note. But for some reason in my head, I was thinking like, oh yeah, but it's a really low, heavy note. I didn't quite understand like, yeah, but you can't have the wrong note there. It has to be, might not be deeper, but it has to be in tune. So that was, I learned a lot of stuff from Alex in ways like that. Just little things. I would be like, oh, wow, I get it now. And I think there's a song where he had us like hitting a gas can or something.
This day and age, imagine having to bring a oxygen tank in when you could just do something with the keyboard now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any other thoughts on Born in Hell before we move on?
No.
Well, Born in Hell was a euphemism for being born on Long Island, which to me was hell. Except for the Roxy. That was the only club that really had any good music.
Yeah, I love the Roxy. Like as a kid, it just felt like a magical thing that existed. Like the bands that we'd get CDs of, I could see. It just felt amazing. We would get cutouts from the CD store where they would punch a hole in the UPC code
Right.
so that no one could scan it because nobody wanted them. And that I remember being so excited because that's how we would get stuff like Cannibal Corpse and Deicide.
And Dead and Bloated.
Yeah, Dead and Bloated. I love that band. Yeah, so while this was going on in the middle of 1995, Chris Barnes quit Cannibal Corpse and he started pursuing his new band 6 Feet Under. On October 14th, it was Deathkids, Broken Hope, Pyrexia again, and 6 Feet Under at the Roxy. And we also met them at Wildside, too. We met 6 Feet Under
Right.
there. And that was an awesome show. I remember really getting into that first 6 Feet Under album. And Chris Barnes was really cool. He was a cool guy then. Any memories of this show?
I don't recall that at all.
All right, I'm going to take a look at chat. That's the end of segment 2. Let's see what you guys are thinking here. It's wild that you owned an effing monkey. Yeah. Bobo got out of the basket. Phrases I didn't expect to hear. Astrononymous says, I was wondering why the first album had a monkey on the cover. So that was actually your monkey. Yeah. Owl Tears asked, do you Wait. Oh, do you have band shirts that you of people like as souvenirs? Of other than the Nevermore one. I remember we got a signed Once Upon the Cross shirt from Glenn Benton at the Roxy. He gave
I
us
still
like
have that
Yeah, that was an awesome shirt.
with the dissected Christ on,
Yeah.
on the shirt.
Yeah. Yeah, that was awesome. He was really cool.
Glenn was a great guy, very down to earth. I actually we did a show in Fort Lauderdale with him, and I had to push my way through the crowd to help him get to the stage.
Yeah, he always was cool to us. Gave us a ton of free stuff.
And at one of the shows we did, some girl came up and said, I wish I could meet Glenn. Oh, I can never see him. I said, he's standing right over there by himself trying to find some water.
And I don't know what year this was, but didn't we play a show at like Carnegie Hall with Jay Rosario on bass for like a TV
that
show?
was from Chris Valenti. You remember the magician?
Yeah. Oh yeah, with the prank phone call CD that I did the drawings for. Yeah.
Everybody's gonna get killed.
Oh yeah, that was great.
I still have a box of them. We were playing for like really old conservative people in like a back room. They did not get it at all.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was a weird show. It just felt weird.
And you learned some magic tricks from Chris Valenti about knowing what page in a book he's reading.
Oh yeah, right. The psychic trick with the book. You just write the answers. Yeah.
He was
funny.
a friend of Barry, our photographer. I can't remember
yeah.
Barry's last name.
Yeah, he was cool. They were both really cool guys. I also, again, maybe I'm skipping forward, but I remember Frank White, the photographer, was really cool.
Oh yeah, but he was not in 95 though. He was
okay.
later, maybe in 96, 98 is when I think I hooked up with him.
Let's see. White Zombie, their second album, Astro Creep 2000, comes out in April. I remember that was like a big thing for metal. I think we went to see them at Nassau Coliseum at this time.
Yeah, with Cousin Charles.
Yeah. Then Mortal Kombat, the movie, came out that summer. I remember going to see that with Lunacide. Amazing movie moment. Still like that movie. I remember there's a part where Napalm Death plays in the background of a fight, and me and the guys on Lunacide, like our neighbor Vinny, were like cheering, like, yeah. The movie Casino came out right at the end of the year.
One of my favorites.
So there we have it. Let's take another look at chat here, see what you guys are saying. Were Deathkids ever played on Headbangers Ball? No. Owl Tears asks, were you ever really nervous about checking your own band stuff online, or did you try not to? At the time, like, the internet was so primitive, there really wasn't like search. Well, I guess there were search engines, but really wasn't coverage of stuff like that back then.
What do you mean, as far as stealing the material?
No, I think as far as like not liking what you see, like seeing bad reviews on the internet or something.
Oh, there's still people that hate Deathkids, but the majority of people, I mean, we got written up in Guitar World, we got written up in over probably 50 or 60 smaller magazines and Stuff magazine.
Yeah, actually, that reminds me. I have, it's on screen, a review of Deathkids. And honestly, I wanted to find a bad one because I thought that'd be funny, like, to see something like that. But I couldn't find any bad reviews. But I found this one from Gorguts. Get the fuck over, Hansons. The real thing is here. While the Hansons are a record company's wet dream, the Deathkids would be their worst nightmare, and the Hansons should jerk off in jealousies at these kids' talent. The Deathkids are made up of 11-year-old Harley Wooten, totally misspelled, guitar and vocals, 14-year-old Ken Jr., and Dad Ken Sr. I received a demo of 4 songs, C-Section.
Oh, C-Section is the song I was trying to think of what my favorite one was off of Born in Hell.
Yeah, it's a good one. That was track
I always
2.
confuse it with Crushed and Dismembered from Bleeding and Praying.
Oh, yeah, similar, right? I was immediately impressed. Grinding, almost doomish guitars, then set to a medium tempo with Ken Jr.'s double bass assault. In parentheses, move over, Dave Lombardo. The new kid is in town. In the song Forgotten. Harley's vocals are nice and guttural, which sounds like there are no effects to me. His voice sounds more mature and refined than a lot of growlers out there. The closest I can describe him would be Obituary or even some Doom death singers. The next 2 songs are from the 97 recording, so kind of jumping ahead, Sacrilege and Crushed and Dismembered, and they're total speed-up tunes. Ken Jr.'s drumming is quite fast, and the riffs Harley shows... Oh, wait, no, it's actually right now. Harley shows are catchy and heavy as a ton of bricks. The 2 newer songs remind me of Deicide and the ilk. Fuck, I don't know why, but this tape just blows me away. For such young players, their talent is incredible. They blow by a lot of their older peers in the genre. Get this, they're gaining notoriety. They've opened for bands such as Morbid Angel and Testament. I can't wait to see what they come up with in the future. So yeah, there's an article from Gorguts magazine that I found on the internet.
Yeah, people used to accuse Harley of having somebody standing behind stage singing the vocals because it's not possible that a 9-year-old or 10-year-old could sing like that.
Yeah, and people I remember would say I was using vocal effects like distortion and stuff, which at the on the first Deicide album they actually did use some weird effect, but it wasn't like a trick to make it sound like he could scream when he couldn't. It was just like a weird, effect. And I think because of that, a lot of people thought that a lot of bands were doing that. And I remember people saying that about my vocals a lot.
And that album got rated 25 skulls in the Slovakian magazine Rock Extremum, which was a big magazine. It wasn't some little, self-published thing. So we got rated the same as Deicide and any top band that they were doing reviews on.
Yeah, we were in some great magazines and Guitar World, Stuff magazine. And perhaps we will talk about that on another time. I want to thank everyone for tuning in and listening to this episode of the year 1995 in our history. I'm wondering about the name of this podcast, what it should be. Should it be The Wooten Show, The Deathkids Podcast, Born in Hell?
Born in Hell sounds good to me.
That's a good one. Dark Side of the Delindens, The New Men Podcast, Questiny Cast, Forest of Wires Podcast. But I'm going to ask you guys what you think, and we're going to throw up a poll so you guys can help me name the show. I'm also going to put up a poll of the topic you want to see us cover next. Your questions and comments. Any closing comments?
No.
It was a very good year. Nothing could go wrong. Plus,
all right, yeah, this is going to be uploaded to YouTube later, Nasty. And I think it's interesting because there's so many websites out there that talk about us and have all kinds of wacky facts. Like there was one website that knew that Kenny was in a band called the Money Jokers and Bad Fellas. And I don't know how they got that. Maybe they heard an old interview at some point. But, stuff that we did like in our basement as little kids. So I think it's interesting to put out a podcast like this and let people who write these things hear the real stories from the source and get it right. Because a lot of merchants probably going to go live with some Zelda later. All right, what'd you guys think? Did you have fun? Thank you, Quaxo. Thank you, Will. Thank you, Nasty. Thank you, Christmas. Skater Muffin. Tori. Astrononymous. Any final thoughts while you're here?
Nah, just keep tuning in.
Awesome. And yeah, go to facebook.com/Lord Gromulus for more Gromulus-based updates. You loved it, Fox? Great to hear. A weekly thing? Maybe. Astro says, thanks for screaming when you were 9. I loved it. I was really inspired by Chris Barnes. But yeah, I first heard Morbid Angel. That was like the first real death metal I heard when we watched Night of the Demons 2. At the time, I was a big Metallica fan, and I thought, Metallica's great, but this stuff is way heavier and cooler, and I kind of changed my interests pretty quick. Astrononymous says, my favorite part of the episode was when Gromulus said, so I started choking him. Rob Halford. Love Rob Halford. Awesome.
I bootlegged Judas Priest probably at least 10 times.
That's awesome. Yeah, I was thinking it would be fun if we did a podcast where we dig through that bucket of tickets, just pull one out and talk about it. It'd be fun. But yeah, I love Judas Priest. Always did. Always thought Rob Halford was insanely good.
They used to have a giant robot on the stage that would pick him up while he was singing.
Oh, yeah. All right. Well, hey, I got an idea. I talked about this earlier. I'll play a song from Deathkids for you on guitar here. But yeah, 95 was really like the beginning. 94, we were still like discovering music, but in 95, we were playing shows, by the summer, as we were talking about. By June 24th, we were starting to play tons of shows. Also, I have flyer images. I meant to put those on screen from the Roxy. I'll put those up in post. No Moon because she's not the center of attention. Oh. So here we go. Oh, what the fuck? Let's see what I remember here. Can you guys hear this? I remember at this time when I was learning music, I would always get those like tablature books that teach you how to play. And I would always be like, damn, why is AC/DC using these major sounding chords? Like, it never like clicked with me about how major chords could sound good. I wanted everything to be like deicide and have like diminished scales and sound evil. Handsome Will, I was in college in 1995. I was writing poetry. Biggest mistake of my life. I should have stuck to wrestling and Dungeons and Dragons. 1995 for me, I wasn't watching wrestling. That was one of the years that I actually stopped as a kid. I think because Hulk Hogan wasn't on there anymore. NetPC says I graduated in 95 too. So here we go. Here's a song from Born in Hell.
We were born to die. Now we're wood. You abandoned us. Now you die.
Now you
Die. Tuesday, go to hell. Tuesday, ring the spell. Tuesday, kill yourself. Tuesday, die. Tuesday, life's a joke. Tuesday, there's no hope. Tuesday, kill yourself. Tuesday, die.
let's see. How about
Balls of lightning, strike the Night King. Skulls get burned, and you have earned nothing. Demons fly across the pit of hell, and make sure that they ring the death bell. And you have earned nothing. Ow.
cool? Owl Tear says, what was one of the songs that took the longest to make? Like lyrics took a week or something like that. All right. So this is it. Last call. Any questions or requests? Any final comments?
I never encouraged them to play music. I've been a jazz musician my whole life until I heard bootlegged Kiss and Queensryche, and then started hearing groups like Slayer, and I liked the raw aggression and the speed, which a lot of people can't understand how I could like jazz and death metal, but I do. And I never gave them any false compliments, like, oh, you're so wonderful, even though a lot of people do that with their kids, and the kids suck. And that was it. They were hot right off the bat, right out of the gate.
Yeah, and I always remember, like, when I was real young, like, listening to, like, Slayer in the car with you. And I always thought that was, like, the ultimate band. I remember, like, you were a big fan. And I loved, like, obviously Rain and Blood and, like, Hell Awaits.
Yeah, that was the golden age of death metal.